This module is just a brief overview of the different file types that can be created using Autodesk Inventor. We'll start with the part file, and we'll just create a very simple part, and we'll go through some of the basic tools that you find on the interface. The tools that are visible right now are basically tools that are used for the creation and editing of a solid. And before you get to this point, we'll start with the sketch area, which includes tools that are used for creation and modification of geometry. So if we start with a sketch, and we just select the XY plane, you can see the tool ribbon now has changed, and these are tools for creating and editing geometry that will be used in the creation of a 3D solid model. On the top here you have several tabs, and under each one of those tabs are tools. If you don't have anything where you could really use that tool, then that particular tool is grayed out. And so you'll use most the 3D solid model tab and the sketch tab. So I'm going to draw something just real quickly here and put some geometry down, and then I'll create a solid out of this. So you typically work in the sketch area creating geometry. Once you've created your geometry, then you exit out of the sketch area, and you'll notice the tools at the top have changed. So now the 3D model area is now active. These are all the tools that you can use to create or edit a 3D model. So first we're going to use the extrude command so that we have a model. Then you can put a fillet on it, you can create a hole in it, you can chamfer it, you can shell it. There's numerous different things. And so what's important in Inventor is understanding the interface between the tabs and the tools, escaping in and out of a sketch and going back and forth between the sketch and the 3D model area. Sometimes students will just left click on the sketch tab and think they're back where they can edit a sketch, and they're not. That is done by editing over here in the tree, and that's covered in Chapter 5. But typically the most common tools are the 3D model tool and the sketch tools. Between those two, you'll be able to do about 90% of the work you're planning on doing. So that's just the basics of creating a solid. So I will close this out. And the next file type is an assembly, which is made up of several parts, and they typically are mated together. So we'll open up the assembly area, expand the workspace a little bit, and then open up previously created, drop the arrow down here, previously created assembly. This is covered in Chapter 7. So this is the assembly that's created in Chapter 7, and this is basically several parts that were created as individual parts, and then they're brought into this assembly area. And so this would, this is where analysis for motion takes place, animation, see how the part functions, things like that. And again, you've got tools on top here. The tabs are a little bit different because now you're in an area where it's assumed you've got multiple parts. You can edit and create parts in this area, or you can create parts back in the part area. So under the Assemble tab, these are all the things that you would do with a part after you've assembled it. The Design area, these are pre-designed parts that you just enter parameters in for. The 3D Model area, if you need to create a new part or to modify an existing part. This part here, this area, is covered in Chapter 7. So we'll close this out, and the next area is the drawing area. And this is reminiscent of the drafting, board drafting, some might remember it as. And for here you typically start with a base view, which is typically a 3D model that was created in the model area. And we'll just pick out a part. Yeah, that one looks good. We'll take that one. And so you can scale this up a little bit. And so some might remember having to project these top, front, side views, and now you don't have to do that. Inventor will basically project top, front, and side orthographic. It also shows the hidden lines where they're supposed to be. So this is basically what we call a production drawing or a manufacturing drawing. So we'll close this out, and the last area is the presentation area. And we'll go down here and we'll pull up that same assembly that's covered in Chapter 7. And this one is where you make kind of a exploded or collapsing view. And so you'll pick a part, and basically you can make it follow a particular line. And this is for presentation purposes. If you're going to be showing maybe some investors or supervisor what the particular product is going to look like. This is just a real short one. And then we'll hit play. Oops. So it's in slow motion. It's just showing where these parts will travel down either the X, Y, or the Z axis, whatever was defined for it in the beginning. And that is the end of this video, which basically discusses just the overview and the types of file types that can be created using Inventor.